everybody, happy Valentine's Day. Today we're doing the lovebirds because it's Valentine's Day. This picture is vertical, up and down. If you have drawn it a different way, that would be okay too. Whatever is going to work for you for the picture, but it is vertical, top to bottom. And so the picture is up. And if you're brand new, welcome. And if any of you have questions, feel free to email me, and I respond as quickly as I can. So I'm available for questions about colors and questions about brushes and whatever needs you have. And we will need for our class some paper towel. So you'll want to have paper towel on hand. And some brushes, anywhere between a 0 and a 6. And if you have a larger one, I pulled a larger one just for the background color. So if you have a larger one, you can pop that in your bucket. It doesn't have to be gigantic. It could even be this size. But I am going to be using some smaller ones, just a little bit smaller, less bristles. And our colors today are Cadmium Red, that's our hearts. And I said Chinese white in the description for the ribbons. If you have titanium white, that will do the same thing. We're not looking for a crisp white for the ribbons, just a trace of lighter color, just to make the red we've got on there into a pinky white. We're also going to use Sap Green for the leaves, Emerald Green for the lower bird, Cerulean Blue for the upper bird, Carmine Red for the bird on the side, the little round bird on the left-hand side. And the background is a blend of colors. So your blend of colors, when I said that, can be any colors you've got in your tray. If you have colors in your tray you haven't used before and you want to play with them, this is a great opportunity. You can use purples, you can use ochre, you can use a peachy color if you've got it, a lighter or a darker green. This is just time to play with colors. So welcome everyone, thank you for joining. We'll do our breathing. So let's get ready for our art class. So I like to take 3 deep breaths. At the top of the breath, hold that breath, find something in the room you like that makes you smile. Maybe it's the picture for today. Maybe it's a color of something that makes you happy. So, and just hold your breath momentarily. And then as you release that breath, drop those shoulders way down. So let's take a deep breath in and hold it at the top and give yourself a smile and release. Really open up this space in here. Second deep breath in and hold it and release. Just really open that up. We hold a lot of tension in here. If you were snow blowing this morning like I was, maybe you're hanging on to the handles and get a little tight. And third deep breath in and hold it and release. Okay, and with that, thank you for honoring me and Troy and yourself for taking time to join with this art class. So with that, we'll get started. We're going to do some color. So always the fun part is the color. So it's just a plain canvas. I, just like you, am going to start, except for the sketch, just like you, I'm going to start with a plain piece of paper, and we're all going to add color. Your painting does not have to look like anybody else's, only that it has birds and hearts on it. Whatever colors you decide to do, if they're different than the colors I'm using, let that be your decision. There's no need for perfection in this. This is a way to play. So with that, let's start to play. And I'm using just plain water, so we'll need 2 buckets of water. So I'm not advertising any specific type of bucket to buy, but I just or use, these are recycled. My neighbor just gives them to me. So I just have 2 containers of water. One is clear, or one I keep clear, and one I use to rinse my brushes off. You will want to have paper towel and brushes. And the colors again are cadmium red, titanium or Chinese white, sap green, emerald green, cerulean blue, carmine red, and the background is a blend of a whole lot of different colors. So don't think that because I name those colors, you have to have those exact colors. You don't. You can mix and match and make all of your own. So let this be your exploration and have fun with this. So I'm going into my water, just clear water with my brush, and I'm only going to paint with clear water above the branch right to the tip of where the leaf is. So I'm not painting the leaf, and I'm not painting the branch, and I'm avoiding that bird. So it's just with clear water. I'm going to go around that bird just with clear water. So we're only doing the first, really it's about a third of the picture, or a third for the top of the picture. So we're not doing the middle yet, just above that bird. So keep in mind as you paint this, if you're looking at the colors and you're looking at the example, and if yours isn't exactly like that when we're finished, it doesn't have to be. This is your art. You have complete artistic permission to paint whatever you like. So you can look on an angle. If I hold this on an angle, I can see if there are dry patches. They won't shine the same as where I've got the water. So if you hold your canvas on an angle, you'll be able to see where you might have missed a spot. So we're just trying to get some water on there, prime that canvas, get it ready to accept some paint. So now this is where the fun is. These are the colors that you can use wherever you like. So I've got a little bit of purple on my brush, and I'm just going to tap that purple in a few spots. I'm not looking for anything specific. I've just done a few dots of purple. It's kind of a lavender purple. And then I think I'm going to use some ochre. I always like to put ochre on things. I like the color ochre. And mine is on an easel, so it tends to run a little bit. If you don't have yours on an easel, if it's on a flat surface, your paints will stay where you put them, so that's good. There's no right or wrong here. And my purple's faded quite a bit, so I'm just going to go back into that purple and just really bring it back up again. It's really faded, so I'd like it to be a bright color on there. And because the water is in there already, it is going to blend a little bit and lighten up. And then I have another color on my tray. It's called dusk green. I'm not sure if you have that color, but a green color or a blue might be nice. I'm just going to put that as dusk green. This is called. It's kind of a fun color. And I'm just trying to cover over some white. So play with colors that you haven't used before, if you're able to. Or if you decide you want to stick with those that make you happiest and you know they're predictable for you, then you have permission to use whatever you like. And I think I'm going to use some yellow now. I think yellow will give a different brightness to this picture. So in between where I've still got some white, I'm just going to add some nice bright yellow. And I think I'll put yellow around the head of my bird, around the face, the front. And you can see it's starting to pick up, that yellow starting to pick up a little bit of that dusk green as well. That's okay. It's supposed to be a fluid background anyways. We're not looking for anything fixed. But still working with my yellow. I'm coming up to the corner and I'm going to fill in. You've got a little white spot up there. I'll fill that in as well where the ochre was. And if I pick up any of the other colors, any of the purple with my yellow, it'll turn a little bit purpley. That's okay. If I hit the green, it'll turn a little bit mossy looking, and that's okay too. So you can see I've got a very colorful background. And where I've got a few little white spots showing, I'm just going to throw in a little bit of blue. I'm just going to cover up any little white spots that I've got with blue. And I also want to ensure that at the top or anywhere around that bird, that there is color. I don't want that bird to look like it has a halo. I want the background to be filled in completely. So if you need to go ahead and put some, I had a little gap in here, so I've just put in a little bit of yellow in there. And because I want that top to dry, if I put any other colors anywhere near, they may start to blend. If I do my bird, it may start to feather in right into the color that I want to be solid on the bird. So I'm going to avoid this section altogether. So once you've got that top third done, we're going to move to the bottom third. So again, we're going to get this wet with clear water. Just go around those hearts, go around the branches, just with clear water underneath that bird, around that feather of that side bird, around the heart. Lots of things to go around, so it may take you a few minutes. And if it stresses you any, just take a deep breath and let it go. And remember, this is just a piece of paper. So I'm just coming right up to the edge of the leaves on that side. And in order to see if there's any places that I've missed, just holding that up to the light. If there are places I've missed, they won't be shiny, so I can add water. So move your canvas around a little bit if you need to.
Are we only doing everything below the branch, Kathy, please?
Yes, we're doing the bottom third. So we've done the top third, and now we're doing the bottom third. So we're leaving the center still. We'll come back to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And if you find you have excess pooling of water, if you just hold your paper towel just to the edge, it will pick up any really big puddles that you've got. So once you've got your water on there, let's start to add some color. So I started at the top. I used some purple. So again, I'm just going to dot some purple on. There we go. I'm back. So I've got purple on there. Now I'm going to start to add some ochre on there in different places, just under that branch, around the heart. So we're just repeating the colors that we put up above, and just where you feel to put those colors. So ochre is the color that I'm putting on right now, just around those leaves and around that other little heart. I'm just trying to repeat the same colors that I put up above. You don't have to be in exactly the same spots, but the same colors would be helpful. So that's that green that I had, which is called dusk green. And because my canvas was wet, those colors are going to start to blend a little bit. And I'm going to put in yellow. I always find yellow. I know ochre is a very good color. I also find that yellow brightens things up a lot, even beside an ochre. And I'll put some of that yellow down in the corner. So you can see I'm not really so concerned about perfection. It's not about, this is about just trying new colors, letting them blend. If you touch on another color and you get a whole different color than you had before, beautiful. And it looks like I have a little more space than I did before, the little white spaces. So this is where I'm going to add my blue. And you can see my blue is really running into the yellow, making an almost a dark, deep green. So remember, this is just the background. Our focal point will be the hearts and the birds, of course. And if there are any spots that you have that are little white dots and you want to go ahead and just touch a color on there. And if your canvas is still wet, they should just blend right in. So, you know, I like to move from area to allow things to dry. So I have the bottom part is still wet, but the top part is likely dry. Now we can go ahead, and the color I did not add onto the list. I'm sorry about that. But the color I'm going to use is raw umber. If you have a burnt umber, some kind of a brown color, then that's what we'll use for the branch. So let's go ahead and paint that branch in that the upper bird is sitting on. So we're just going to paint, and I'm just using a number, I think it's a number 6 brush. So I'm just painting that branch on. It looks like a little bit of that yellow is being picked up in my branch. I don't think that's a terrible thing. It actually looks quite nice, that little blend of color. So I'm just letting it go to a point. So when you are using your brush, if you hold your brush firm, when you lift it up, that's the point. That's the time you'll get that little point on the end. So if I'm holding my brush, when I lift it off, I get that little point at the end. So hold it firmly and then lift, it will give you that little point. So we'll want to allow time for that branch to dry. The color that I have used for the hearts is Cadmium Red. So this is the color I've used, Cadmium Red. And we'll go ahead and we'll paint those hearts now. Starting with the hearts that are in the white, the center part of our sky. And because watercolor dries, and I am doing a wet paint on dry, because watercolor dries 20 to 30% lighter than when you put it on, we may need to come back and deepen the red on these hearts. So we're still giving that branch a chance to dry before we paint that bird. And let's also paint our little ribbons that are holding our hearts. So they have a little hook on the end that's holding onto the branch. So again, if this stresses you, just take a deep breath. We are going to come back and deepen the red in those hearts because I know it will dry lighter. So we're still doing one piece at a time. We haven't done the hearts down below. We will do those before we're finished. But we're letting that paint down below dry. If we put paint on beside wet paint, it will start to feather and you may not be happy with the results. We have a little bit of that in the background already, but that is in the background, not in our actual subject. So our first bird we're going to paint, the bird that's up on the top branch. I've chosen Cerulean Blue. I'm going to paint the whole bird except the beak. So I'm just going to carve out that beak just with the blue and leave it. So I've left the beak white. And I'll paint the rest of the bird, the Cerulean Blue, including that little piece that looks like the extra wing on the front, or sorry, on the back of the bird. We'll come back and we'll deepen that as well with the same color. But because it's done the second time, it will look a little bit deeper. So I'm just painting the bird on the branch in Cerulean Blue. And it has an eye. I'm going to paint right over that eye.
Had people in the class.
Pardon? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Oh, okay. So right over that eye, just painting the whole bird Cerulean Blue. Now I know some of you are still catching up. You're still finishing painting hearts or going to work on the bird. The bird is Cerulean Blue if you need a reminder of that. Today's card, and I pulled all of the cards from our deck from Life Loves You from Louise Hay and Robert Holden. I pulled all of the cards from that deck that had anything to do with love, and the card that was chosen today was chosen by Monica. Thank you. So this is for all of us. I am beautiful and everybody loves me. And that doesn't mean that we need to take that in a boastful way. We are all beautiful and we are all loved. So on the back it says, I am beautiful and everybody loves me. Carry this thought with you today and notice the effect on you and others. If you believe this, that you are beautiful and everybody loves you, when you carry that thought, just see what the effect is. Just notice how that affects you and how it affects how others react to you. So thank you for drawing that card. Thanks for it being Valentine's Day. I know that none of us are in control of that day, but I think it's a great day. So I have my bird, looks like it has a little bit, it's not quite solid, has a little bit of lights and darks in there. I'm okay with that. I think it kind of adds to my bird. If you want yours to be completely solid, then we can go back, or you are welcome to go back and do a second coat on that. I may later, but right now I'm happy with the way that it is. And I'm also going to give it a color on its beak now that it's colored, now that it's painted. And I'll use What am I going to use? I think I will use ochre for the beak. And I'll just try to avoid that blue so it doesn't pick up that color. There's my little beak for the bird. We will give it a black eye later. For now, we just have the bird painted. I'm switching to a smaller brush. I'm switching to a number 2 pointed brush. And on to Sap Green for my leaves. So I have leaves up above. If I outline the leaf first, then I know what to fill in. I'll outline all of the leaves that are there. There are 3. And I'm going to outline the leaves down at the end of my branch. They don't all have to be identical. And I'm going to use the paint that's already there on the edges and the paint that's on my brush without getting more, and just fill those leaves in. So I'm not going to add any more. So some of those leaves will end up lighter or darker. They won't all look identical. And I'll just bring that color in from the edge. And I'm going to move down below to the same, do the same with the branches down below. So I'm going to use Sap Green, and I'm going to outline the leaves that are there. We haven't done that branch yet because we were letting the bottom dry, but the bottom should be dry enough for us to work with the leaves at this point. And then without adding any extra paint, I'm just going to use what's on my brush and what's already on for the edges. Just fill in the center of those leaves. So this is an abstract. And while we're working down below, let's go ahead and do those red hearts too. Cadmium red. So I'm going to fill in. I've got a nice white spot there, so it should be easy to find my hearts. And we have 3 hearts there, larger one in the center. And a little tiny one over to the side. While I have that cadmium red out, I'm going to make that ribbon that it just goes over the top of the branch down onto the heart, just holding it there. Now painting wet on dry. So wet paint on a dry canvas. I'm going to use for this bird, the center bird at the bottom, I'm using something called emerald green. If you have this color, it's really bright. It would be beautiful for St. Patrick's Day for a project. But I'm going to just paint this bird in emerald green. Everything around it should be dry at this point, so there shouldn't be any bleeding of colors. So I'm just outlining first. And I can go right over that eye because I know that's going to come, it'll show up when I'm finished putting the black dot for the eye. And then just filling in with fresh color. And again, this is emerald green. And remember, take a deep breath. If you get a little stressed out, take a deep breath or drop your shoulders and see if you can open that neck a little bit. Release that death grip on your brush. It's going to be okay. I have left the beak with no color. We have our other little bird on the side. This little rounded bird color that I chose to paint. That one is called Carmine Red. So you can see it's really a deeper red, quite a bit deeper than the hearts. And still using wet on dry, leaving the beak open. I'll paint that a different color. Going right over that feather. For the wing at the side. And if you're painting with someone else, remember, no two pictures are supposed to look the same. So if they look different, that's okay. That's quite acceptable. Before I put a beak on either my emerald green bird or my carmine red bird, I'm going to let that paint dry. If I was to try to put a beak on those birds right now, that color might run and it would frustrate me to no end. So I'm going to leave it and move on to a different section of the painting. So visually, I'm going to cut my painting in half. And I'm going to work on this side of the painting where there's only the one center bird, but nothing else on the other side. And I'm going to start to add a little bit of clear water, but just a little bit. I'm not going to soak it completely. So I'm just putting on a very light coating of water. And I've got red in my brush that it's picking up. So I'm just trying to move that. There we go. just a little bit of water, just halfway down the page, halfway along. So I'm not touching the bird. I'm going to go around the outside of it. And just on one side, just clear water, or if it's not completely clear, it's okay. You're going to be putting paint on top of it anyways. And just to the branch. So we're just doing half. And then the same process that we did up above, I'm just going to start to add some colors. So I haven't put quite as much water on my canvas. So I'm going to be able to control a little bit where this paint goes. So I have ochre, just a few spots of ochre. My other color that I have up above, I have some purple up there, so I'm going to put that purple in there. Just very gentle around the ribbon and around the hearts. So if you find you need to add a little bit of water to your paint just to let it blend a little bit, go ahead. And my dusk green. So you're basically putting on the same colors that you put on up above, but not in exactly the same spots. You're just creating the same colors from up above and down below. It's just going to be a little bit deeper in the center. And I need to remember my yellow. I love this yellow, pop of yellow color. You can put that right around those branches. And I'm going to bring that yellow just around the top of the head of my bird with the emerald green. And just like before, if I have a spot in there that I haven't filled in, I'm just going to throw in some blue, a little bit of sky popping through. I still have my branch. I haven't painted my branch down below on either side, but above that branch and around the three birds and where the hearts are, I'm going to put clear water again, but very lightly. And just tap your brush. If when you go into your water, tap your brush so it's only a damp brush. It's not soaking wet. You just want a little bit of water or moisture on the canvas. We still want to be in control of where a lot of that color goes. I'm still leaving that beak. I haven't painted that yet. And back to the same colors. I've got some ochre I want on there. So we only did 1/2 at a time just to give those birds a little bit of time to dry. So you paint the same colors you've got up above. If you've got ochre, you've got yellow, you've got green. A nice pop of yellow in there. And remembering that purple, really like that purple in there as well. If we go back to our birds, in order for our birds, for the feathers to show, we need to paint them in exactly the same color, just on top of what you've already painted. So that's the same color. That's the emerald green right on top of the other emerald green, but because the original color dried, the secondary color will show up that much more. And I'll do the same with the bird up above. I'm going to give it that extra feather on the outside. Just using the same color. And my little bird is going to have an extra feather or wing sticking out the side, and that's the same Carmine Red. But because it's a secondary coat, it just is that much darker. Now, two of my birds still need a beak, so I'm going to give my little bird in the center a beak. And my bird at the side needs a beak. Let's paint that in. And I'd like to give them all a little bit of personality, so I'm going to give them an eye. So just by giving them an eye, just gives them a little bit of personality. I'm just using black, just a little dot, just for the eye. We still need to paint the branch. So with raw umber, I'm going to paint the branch on. And with my white, where the red ribbons are, I'm just going to trace a line down to the hearts. Now, two more steps. I'm just going to go over my hearts again with red, just really deepening that red. And we'll also sign our paintings and then we're done. So that's what you can do in 1 hour. And I hope you've enjoyed doing the background in different stages and all different blending techniques with water and letting those colors really blend together. And hopefully using colors that you hadn't tried before. And there we have some lovebirds and some hearts hanging in the trees. They're looking at each other. I'm not sure who's going to end up with who. Maybe they're just all happy to be together. Happy Valentine's Day, and thank you for joining. And I'll see you again next Tuesday.